to introduce Mariana Gandan, who's going to be talking about the curriculum guide.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Mariana Gandan, and a physical education teacher with New York City. And I'm very happy to be here today presenting this workshop and talking about why is it that it's so crucial for us to have this guide available in New York City public schools and all schools abroad. So we want to celebrate diversity and in our classrooms, and that's one of the reasons why we think that it's so important that this guide is available for everybody. So this guide is actually available because of the lack of resources for K-12 physical education and teachers with regards to cultural relevant education as resources for our classes. And so we wanted to make sure that we have different voices in our classes and opportunities for all students to participate in all activities. So we wanted to create a group of activities that will be available for all teachers to participate and to have available in our classes for phys ed, and it can be used for classes, but also for phys ed classes. So, of course, the activities are goals is for student engagement, but also the cultural responsive pedagogy that we also should be that we should be also advocating for in our classes is also present in all the classes, in all the activities that we presented.
Okay, and so I'm going to explain a little bit of what the plan today is going to look like for our session. So first, we wanted to mention that the activities that we're going to be doing today are focused on standard number 4 of the Shape America framework. The physically literate individual exhibits responsible, personal, and social behavior that respects self and others. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to go through like we're going to have 4 different moments. First, we're going to start with a small icebreaker, and then we're going to introduce the curriculum guide. Then we're going to have a lesson application. We're going to do an activity of capoeira, and finally we're going to do a cool down activity towards the end.
All right, so this is one icebreaker, and we're looking forward for participation. So we are trying to, we wanted to adapt all the activities to Zoom. That's what we're doing right now. So in a class, this is one of the icebreaker activities called the Aztec Friendship Dance, where the teacher will introduce the activity by asking all students to participate in one movement. And the leader will start asking for permission from the answers to students, and each dancer will offer a movement. And after that, they're going to be shared to all the participants until like we all can participate in the dance together. For Zoom, we're going to adapt the game to something that is called Good Things. After we sing, after the one person sings good things, we're going to share something, a highlight from our day or success or a small win, and then I'm going to pass that to another person in the room. So we're hoping that we can all participate on the activity. Okay, so before we go in, I wanted just to see, I'm not sure if everybody in the room can hear me right now. Viviana, Chris, Emily, if you can hear me, so we can participate.
I can hear you. I'm driving, just so you know. So that's why I'm like.
Oh, okay. All right. So we just do it in a way that you know, just to type of just to start the room, so we can communicate to one another. And so it will be something like saying good things, Good things, good things. So I'm going to share something that happened good in my day, which is actually being here today for this, that I can see that the guys out there, and hopefully that a lot of people are going to be taking advantage of introducing it on the class and using it on the class and being part of the classes. So that will be something that I wanted just to pass out. So I passed out to maybe Viviana, if you want to say something, good things in your day.
Something good today. One of my students helped install this new printer that I bought, and he like helped like install it, hook it up, everything. So that was a good thing.
All right, Viviana, so you want to pass to somebody else?
Okay, so I pass it to Emily.
All right, Emily, you there? All right, Mary. Chris, are you there?
Yes.
Hi. So if you want to share, hi, Chris, how are you? So if
I'm
you want to
good.
share something like about your day, something that happened to you that you think is good to share.
It was a good day. I'm just trying to find the right part of it. Let me think. I was able to help a special education student finish a load of work and get it in. So it's not really the best thing that happened for me, but it's the best thing that happened for him today. So I'll go with that because I was a part of it.
Great. All right. All right. Thank you for that. So maybe I'll come back to Emily. I'm not sure if you can hear us, Emily, but that will be something like, you know, in a bigger room, it will, you know, maybe you can even do it in your classes. Sometimes we use mood meters, but this is a way to kind of, you know, also introduce something like that. We kind of have to find other ways to do it if we are in Zoom. But this is something that we can also use in our classes, and I think it will be beneficial. And it kind of connects to the ASTIC dance. So you want to move to the next slide? So the K-12 outreach program guy is here. So we want to give you some time for you to download the guy, to be able to have access to the guy and look over the guy. You're going to be getting some time right now, and when we come, we are having some, we can have some discussions about questions that you have, highlights that you think on the guy, on things that you feel like you want to discuss it today.
Okay, so I'm going to put the link in the chat. So what you can do now is you can access, you can use that link that I just posted, and you're going to open this web page. And here where it says curriculum guides, you're going to see that the guide is here. It's the last one. And then you'll be able to download it here. So if you can just like take a look at it and maybe explore it a little bit, we're going to give you a few minutes, and then we can come back and you can ask Mariana if you have like any questions or anything. Yeah. Hi, someone else has joined. So what we're doing right now is we're downloading the curriculum guide and we're giving everyone a few minutes to explore the guide. And then Mariana is going to answer any questions that anyone has. So I'm going to share the link again in the chat. Mariana, I think we can go ahead and you can maybe explain a little bit about the structure of the guide.
Yes. So the curriculum guide is an exploration of traditional family games and sports playing in Latin America. The guide is practiced through different versions to discover how multiple identities are presented. So if you can go into sorry, just trying to. So the guy is he has 3 different units with lesson plans. Each lesson plan is connected to, like Jose was explaining in the beginning of the presentation, there are 5 different standards. One of the lesson plans that we presented only presents 1 standard, but we actually are connecting the 5 standards. And then each standard is also connected to a particular grade, and it's high school or middle school. Most of the connections on each standard. We think that we plan the guide in a way that where also give the importance of a class routine to have a warm-up, a main concept that we are covering in the class, and then also what is the cool down that we usually do in the class. The first lesson was the Amazing Race, and the reason why we thought about the Amazing Race is important just because it kind of connects the different components of the nature of the guy, just to give the importance of the connection with the sports and physical activity, and also notice now that many of the sports and the games that we play on different part of the world are connected one way or the other one, and maybe sometimes the rules are different, but most of the activities are connected to one another. We wanted just to also highlight the images because it kind of really makes sense of what the activity is about, or what is the connection with each of the activities. All the lesson plans also have essential questions that are there in order to bring the critical component that we want to also incorporate on physical education class. And mainly the guide was for something that I thought about the importance of the guides, because I feel like sometimes on physics class, we really think about sports, and sometimes we're not really connecting the history of the cultural aspect. And so I think that was something that I always wanted just to introduce in a lesson plan. In unit number 2, the cultural traditions and physical health, the running component was something that I wanted to also incorporate in the guide, just because I think it's important that in physics classes, we really incorporate the part of the 5 fitness components. And so also incorporating endurance is something important, but also connecting it with traditions and culture and how it's a connection with physical health, I think is also important. Exploring other cultures and the reason why they run, and also the not only because of the long distance, but also because of the connection to physical activities that they have, and how maybe there was a story about also in the guide about one person in the US that had a very much connection to this community. And, you know, this is something that I think it was very original. I know really many people would know about it. And I think it's important to also put it as part of the classes. There's also some of the components that the guy mainly has the goal was the physical activity, but also participating in groups. So there's also an activity where the students are participating on running long distances, and they use an outdoor track. And also, I think the engagement part was in unit number 3. The lesson number 3 was about lucha libre. Lucha libre is something that is very important and very famous in Latin American countries and in the States as well. And so I think it's important for students also to know that the wrestling is part of it's a sport, but it's also very known in Latin America, and there is a big community also in Latin America with the sports. So there's essential questions with regards to the difference that you stated in lucha libre. That is bringing a lot of discussion. Something that I really enjoy was the lesson number 4. Of decline, and
Mariana, I don't think, Mariana, we can't hear you very well.
Painful.
Mariana?
Of and the
Mariana? Mariana, we can't hear you very well. Okay, we lost her. Okay, just give me a second while she gets back. Mariana, can you hear us? Mariana, can you hear us?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what happened. Sorry. So, yeah, I think that we were just discussing, sorry, I was just going over the Lucha Libre lesson. But I first would like to know, or would like to just, you know, we can continue, but we like to just, you know, if someone of the Viviana, Chris, or Emily, or anybody has any questions, or if you, before I move on.
I'm slowly going through. I'm
Yeah.
not even down to the mass
Right.
one or lesson
Yeah,
for you. These appear to be from all over the region. You know, I saw one from Peru, one from Mexico, etc. So that's cool. And they're all would you say that they're how shall we say, within the realm of the folk customs, you know, the rural, or is it also played in the city? Does the whole country participate, or are certain regions more likely to have these games?
You mean
within Peru, would they play them in Lima, or would they play them in the country, the rural parts of Peru?
No, I think that these are, I mean, all the plans, all the activities are based on the region.
Okay.
In general, particular for one region. Sometimes maybe the activities are for one region only, but there's a connection between all the different regions. And these are like Lucha Libre is something that is on, you can see it as something that mainly of Mexico.
Sure.
But like I'm Argentinian, and I'm very much known about Lucha Libre because that's something that was also played and participate in Argentina.
Oh, okay.
It's all over, yeah, it's all over the Latin America. Yeah.
Okay. So essentially, even if it started, but like globalization, if it started in one area, it likely spread to others so that everybody could participate.
Right. Yeah, and it even increase more the community. And the ones from all the lessons that you see, the ones that is the most known was, I think, is Lucha Libre. And of course, soccer is and it's not only because of the sport, but also because of the cultural aspect of, you know, like we call it like the cheers that they call it here, we call it ILAS. And so that is actually creating like a big part of it.
And and I know that in some of the countries, baseball is huge, almost, you know, on the same level as football. But oh, I see. Okay, I see the picture of the soccer fans in Buenos Aires. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, and the chants mean things, right? They have specific meanings, and they come out at certain times of the game, do they not?
Yes, and they do, and they have like in between them, you know, it's a very interesting community, and they, even though you see a lot of people, they all know each other. Unbelievable. Yeah. It's very powerful when you go there. It's very, very powerful. Yeah, and everywhere you go, like in different regions, is exactly the same. Yeah. So I know it's like 65 pages, but I think it's important just to, like, we go over, like, you know, because I think it's not only the aspect of the sport and it's just also the cultural aspect about how is the interconnection between different regions, like you were just saying, Chris.
Okay, I'm not as familiar. Obviously kids grow up in Latin America, if they're good, hoping to become a soccer star, okay, a football star, just like ours are NBA, NFL, you know. Do other kids go the route of, I want to be a wrestling star, I want to make it onto Mexican television as one of the
Not to
lucha
that,
libre?
not to that, and that on that. I mean, it's I think they see it more about the passion of the childhood, but I think is in general it ran out after, like, you know, after like your early years, you know. After
Mhm.
that, yeah. I think that the passion about Mar is more about the sports. But
There are a few more people that have joined, Mariana. Maybe I can reshare the link to the guide and give them a few more minutes, and then we can pass to the next activity.
okay.
So there are a couple of people that just joined. So what we're doing right now is we've shared the link to download the guide, and I'm going to share it in the chat once again. And if you can please just go through it. Mariana, the author of the guide, is here, and she can like answer any of your questions. And we can just go through the guide or any of the lessons that you find interesting. You can just let us know. So this is the link to the guide. The link is going to take you to this page. It's the page for the K-12 Outreach Program at ILAS at Columbia. And here you'll find all the curriculum guides that we've produced in the last few years. And the one that we are looking into today is this one, the last one, Cultivating Identity and Community Through Latin American Sports and Games. This will open another page where you can download the guide, and then what we've been looking into with Mariana is the structure of the guide, and we've been reviewing some of the lessons. So if you have any questions, you can just let us know. Mariana, maybe you can go through another one of the lessons. I know that right now, Chris was interested in the one about lucha libre. Maybe you can explain a little bit about another one of the lessons.
So the one that we were just talking about, also we have the after school activity. I think, is that Jose that is maybe connected to?
The one connected to the lucha libre?
Yeah, the after school activity, sporting spirit. I think it's page 33.
Okay. This one, yep.
Because
The
sometimes
wrestling cholitas, yep.
so cholitas were part of the guide for the running, which is endurance, but also I was thinking about coming back to the fitness components and putting like different concepts also connected to the cultural aspect that we wanted just to imply in the guide, was the fact that you know, the cholitas were climbers, but they were also wrestlers. But there's also this history about cholitas and why they're actually wearing the hat. And so there is also a history aspect on it. So all that is part of the guide, but also the wrestling was something that is important for cholitas, because even today, they actually have events with a wrestling match, and it's something that passed from generation to generation. And they have we have some videos in the guide that I don't know, Jose, if you think that
Yeah,
would
this lesson is really interesting because it like portrays a different way of seeing cholitas as how it usually is. So we can watch part of one of the documentaries. I'm gonna open it right now. This lesson has 2 documentaries. Yeah, we can watch the first part of this one.
Soy una cholita. Una cholita es una que utiliza polleras, mantas, trenzas. ¿Cómo viviré, mi cholita? ¿Cómo viviré? Pero una señorita es que utiliza pantalones como los varones. ¿Cómo viviré?
Es un orgullo ser de chola.
Mi sangre, mi raza se puede decir que es indígena. Yo no me avergüenzo de mis polleras.
Aquí en Bolivia la gente nos discrimina mucho. Piensan que servimos para la cocina o para ser trabajadoras del hogar. Pero están muy equivocadas y lo he demostrado. Yo soy Carmen Sosa, la campeona.
Señoras y señores, aquí está presente los titanes
Mi nombre es Hilda López, tengo 16 años. Mi mamá se ha muerto cuando yo tenía 4 años. Yo soy huérfana de madre. En ahí pido en el RINIS, pido justicia.
Mi nombre verdadero es Jenny, pero mi nombre de lucha es Marta la Alteña.
Yo soy rudo.
Yes. Did someone have a question? Yes, so Mariana, can you talk to us a little bit about the lesson and like what the point is of presenting students with these documentaries? Because this lesson has a couple of documentaries on the Cholitas, and then there are some questions that are given to students to try to like, yeah.
So yeah, another component about it that is that we wanted just to introduce also about this part of the guys. Most of the plans is about character education, and also the social emotional component. And so that's the reason why this guy is also important, just because not only this passed from generation to generation, but also is the pride of the Cholitas to be, to be a group of and fighting and wrestling and doing something that is not is connected to it's like a family that so that's the reason why I think it's important just to also, and some of the questions that we have is are something that we use in the end of the class about reflections about what do you think this is something that is important as an activity. Why is Lucha Libre so important? What strengths does the group shows in addressing those challenges? So those are different components that I think it was important for me just to add it as part of the guide for discussion and character education that we think is so important to also introduce it in the class. So I wanted just to open up a little bit and if they have any questions before we go into maybe the next plan with regards to that plan.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, you can just go ahead and let us know about any of the lessons of the curriculum guide or any aspects that you find interesting before we go to the next activity. Okay, so maybe we can for the people that joined after, maybe Mariana, you can explain like what the reasoning behind the guide is, maybe one more time, and what the goal of the guide is.
Okay, so yes, so we again, thank you for coming today. So the guy is, I'm a phys ed teacher, and I've been teaching in New York City for many years, but also I'm Argentinian, and I feel like there was a lack of curriculums related to Latin American sports. I feel like it's important just to celebrate diversity, and that's the reason why we're here. And we want to make sure that our lesson plans are also presented in our New York City public schools and all schools. So because that's something that I was not able just to see throughout the years, I think that this is something that it will be very beneficial to be present. So Latin American sports are very varied. There's a lot of sports that and Caribbean and populations, and we celebrate sports in many different ways, not by practicing only a sport, but also by celebrating it. So that's the reason why we wanted just to make sure to maybe include other activities that are connected to sport as well. So we want to promote that in our classes, and that's the reason why we planned all these lesson plans and units. There's actually, the guy has actually 3 units and lesson plans that they do have do now, classwork, and also a cool down exercise. So each activity is timed and connected to a learning standard and the national standards of physical education, but they also are all activities that are available for students in middle school or high school to participate, but also lower grades as well. So we are we present some of the plans already, but we were going to move on into capoeira lesson plan. So the first thing that we wanted just to ask you if you can look at this picture and tell us what can you infer from the picture, what you see from the picture, if you want to share to the group that we are here today. Another question that we wrote there is, what feeling comes to your mind when you look at the images?
Hmm. Do you want us to answer?
Yeah, you
Yes.
can go ahead. Yes.
Well, they were definitely brought over as slaves. So, I mean, these are African. So I would say slavery as an originator of human migration here.
So there is an interesting way. And then I don't know if someone else wants to say the number two, what feelings do you have when you see the image?
But I go back to a lesson that we do in 7th grade civics, and one of them is kind of dressed like the character called Jim Crow. And that perturbs me a little bit because it's a very negative stereotype that whites used in the South to bolster their laws. I don't know what to make of this picture. If it's a happy time or if it looks sort of joyous and party driven, but I really can't tell.
Does anyone else have any other idea of what may be going on in this image?
It looks like a dance fight. Well, I in my school we have had shows of capoeira and how they the dancers like fight but dance. So I see the music, the drums. I don't know if the lady with the blue skirt is cooking or something. Like one of them is very serious, the other ones are like observing. Yeah, that's what I see.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Have you ever seen a picture like this, like is something that comes from something that you see before?
It's really drawn with a lot of physicality in it. The two men, very physical, almost in the midst of the dance. And I think the far left, it looks like that person's getting ready to clap, sort of keep the beat. So you can sort of tell physical movement. It's like a still of a physical activity.
Okay. So yes, so we do you want to?
I'm sorry.
No, Viviana.
Sorry, I'm just driving, so I was like, I had to wait till I got to the red light. I feel like it looks like. At first, I thought from far away it looked like they were dancing, but then I was looking and like the way like his body's positioned, they kind of look like they're like gonna wrestle. But I'm just focusing on the two people in like the center, the one with the red pants and then the one with the green yellowish pants.
Mariana?
All right, so do you want to put and then go into the next? So this is a way for us to introduce you to capoeira. And capoeira is a Brazilian from Brazilian roots, and is related to different aspects in Brazil. Is connected to also the Rota, and also connected to the community and coming together into an activity that is actually it looks like it's actually a fight, but it's actually a call and response activity. So we want to make sure that we want to show you some of the activities and how they get together into the rota. So can you go into the next?
Yeah. The next slide.
Yes. So we
sorry, Marina, do you want to maybe watch one of the videos first of the demonstration of capoeira?
Right. So we want to show you the rota. What? Yes.
Sure. I guess. Yeah.
Capoeira is a multifaceted Afro-Brazilian cultural practice. It is both fight and dance. It is comprehended as folklore, sport, and even art. The circle, a roda, is where the game takes place. Two dimensions are always present: the looted side of the celebration, its playfulness, and the other side of resistance and reaction to the oppressive system. The capoeiristas, people who practice capoeira, sing, clap their hands, and play percussion instruments. In the center, two participants at a time challenge each other. The movements require dexterity. They may be supple, vigorous, and even acrobatic. They are very difficult and exhibit incredible physical agility. The beauty and energy of the music and the movements draw in and seduce the participants and the audience. The Roda de Capoeira is a deeply ritualized space, congregating chants and gestures that express a worldview, a hierarchy, and an ethical code, and also reveal companionship and solidarity. The Roda is a metaphor for the immensity of the world. With its joys and adversities, it is in the Roda de Capoeira that great masters, mestres, are formed and acclaimed, and where traditional Afro-Brazilian practices and values are transmitted and reinforced. The roda is comprised of a group of people that includes the mestre, the countermaster, contramestre, and his disciples and students. Both men and women can occupy any of these positions as long as they have gone through the specific rituals. The mestre is the highest position and the highest.
So the capoeira. Sorry. So there's also a component about something that is talked about. I think it's on part of the guy, and he talks about the oppression and the sense of togetherness. So the roda is the main component of the capoeira, where and it's the way to start the activity, and the way that that's the reason why when we watch we're discussing the picture, that you can tell that two people are going into a fight, and everybody else on the outside is, even though they're in the outside, they're very much part of the activity, and they're there to cheer, but also just to make sure that they create the connection between one another. And so capoeira was actually used as a way to practice fighting techniques, even though it was shown as an activity or as a dance or as a celebration, and it was used in the 18th century, like he says, in part of the guy as well. So it was used as a roda and still used to this day. It was used in a roda. So that's how the capoeira activity is. And they also use musical musical instruments like the berimbau, which is a bow, and then the atabaque, which is another drum that is used between, and those two people are the ones that kind of start, and then they go, call and response is used because when one person is making a move, that is the call, and the other person is responding, but with another movement. So that's the reason why it's called a call and response activity. So we, when on the lesson plans that you have in the guide, also is using, we call it Capoeira Jigsaw. Jigsaw is, if you have an opportunity to use it in your classes, Jigsaw is an activity on which you have a group of students and you name and you give a number to each student. And then after you create the groups, you can have also create, you have group 1 to 5, and if you have 3 people in each group, you're going to give them each person one letter from A, B, and C. So then the A is going to, when you finish creating your groups of numbers, and then you're going to assign the letters to each group, you're going to put together all the A's together, the B's together, and the C's together, even though they're from different teams. So you assign to each letter one activity or one content for them to learn, or one movement for them to learn. And after a certain time, you actually have those numbers coming back into their number groups, the letters coming back to the number groups, so they can actually teach each other the movement that they used prior. So this is a way to actually increase the participation in class, and also allowing students to teach one another. And I think that this is something that very much connect to this lesson about how important it is for students to all the time learn, to all the time be staying active, and also having that ownership about teaching one another a movement. The lesson has different 10 different main moves that are used in capoeira. All moves are something that you can modify. The one that we just covered was the rota, which is the one that is the one that we start the activity. And after that, you have Jinga, the esquiva, esquiva atrás, media luna de frente. So these are different movements that we can use in the guide, and they're shown in the guide. So we can have.
There are short videos, so maybe we can show one of them.
Here's another view of the most basic form of the Ginga from the front and from the sides.
So yeah, this is one of the short videos that you will find in these links that are given as resources to carry on this activity. I think someone is not muted. ¿Me escuchas, Marina?
Hello?
¿Sí me escuchas?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. No, someone had their audio on. Okay. So yeah, do you want to?
So we want to make sure, I want to ask, how do you feel about the movements and the activities in the capoeira? Do you think that this is something that you will introduce? No?
It's the video.
Oh.
Sorry.
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what grade, if you're middle school, if you're in high school teacher of not, if this is something that you see, you know, that if you want to go over some of the movements, if it's something that you will use in your class as far as, or if it's something that you think that you modify, if you have questions about how some of the movement can be modified.
Do you think you would have to do this in the gym, or can you do this in a classroom?
I actually was able to teach the capoeira to my school, to my whole school actually. We did this in the gym, but because the activity is, we started in the rota just because we want to make sure that everybody was getting the feeling about the activity done in the rota. But then we give like one-on-one time for students to participate and practice the movement one-on-one. Because I want to make sure that everybody was participating, I was actually given some modification ideas to some students just to feel comfortable doing it. You can use different levels on the kicks, you know, because some of the kicks are really high, so sometimes the students might feel a little bit hesitant about doing it, or maybe about also the safety, that they might feel like, oh, I don't want to kick someone. So, you know, what I did is actually I made I have students work in pairs of 2, but also you can make bigger pairs. But I actually created like circles where I ask students to stand in the circle, and then I have another circle like close but not too close from the other student, so they were able to actually do the activity and the movement feeling comfortable about going with the call and response, because I wanted them to get the feeling about the activity is a call and response. When one person is doing one thing, the other one is responding. So that's the reason why you want to just to stress the activity, how is performed. But I feel like this is something that you can do maybe in the class as well. And maybe instead of creating, putting 10 movements, maybe you can do the rota just to start. And then for the practice one-on-one, you can just pick maybe 1 or 2 of the movement. I think the esquiva is something that you can do anywhere. Maybe Meia Luna is a little bit something that you might need a bigger space, but no, you can, I think that you can actually adapt it to the class. So, I don't know if you, do you want to show one of the other movements that we have, or do you want to?
Yeah, we can show.
When you're second guessing your Espanol, download the Google app for iPhone. Just open Lens.
So this is something that you can actually very much like a lunge exercise. And the esquiva is something that, yeah, if you want to put it there.
Since we don't block in capoeira, we use the esquivas. The esquiva in a way is like ducking away from kick. So we have 3 esquivas. Usually the esquiva entrando, you know, basically entrando means taking a step forward. We have esquiva lateral, which is like esquiva, you know, to the side. And we have esquiva baixa, which is esquiva, you know, lowering yourself from a ginga position to a lower position. And to demonstrate the esquivas, I'm gonna call here Professor Gafanhoto. And slowly, you know, he's gonna start on a ginga position. He will place, in this case, right foot back, always keeping a good form, keeping that arm up. and making sure, you're always working with your core. He's gonna step parallel with his right foot going into esquiva, entrando. Okay, always looking at your partner. Imagine a kick traveling over you. And then from there, always recovering back to a ginga position and switching your arm. Now from there, he's gonna do the esquiva lateral, which is, he will turn sideways, keeping his knees bent, being very careful so the knees won't drop in, looking straight at your partner. And then from there, he brings it back, always rotating on above your foot, making sure you're straight forward. And from there, he goes into esquiva baixa, which is, you place your hand on the floor, pretty much, originates from the ginga position. All you have to do is lower yourself, and then from there, you can recover again. And once again, he's going to do the esquiva baixa. One more time. And he pushes back up. Now, if the esquivas, are done in a seamless way, basically he will just work on the ginga, and he can esquiva to both sides, going back and forth. Always looking straight at your partner. The esquiva entrando, lateral, baixa, ginga, arms up, right there, as you see. So pretty much all the esquivas, originate from the ginga. As you see, we don't really block, so it's the esquivas. You're always clearing the kick and going back to ginga.
So I think that it's also important just to give the students, the ownership and the opportunity to practice, but also just to provide like different ways for them just to feel comfortable doing it, because sometimes some students might feel like a little bit that is too much for them just to do some of the movements. So I think that by, again, like giving like different levels or for them to give them more time to practice, I think it will be so much important.
Does anyone have any other question about the lesson or about any other lesson that you've seen in the guide?
Is this something that you see, and have you seen capoeira? Is this the first time that you have an opportunity to see a capoeira, or did you know anything about capoeira before? Anybody of the participants?
I've heard it expressed as a martial art, and I've seen it offered as a class in gyms. But I'd never seen any of the movements or knew where it came from.
Mm-hmm. Was there there's also like the connection between I think that's what's interesting about and especially when I see this picture, that it's a celebration, and sometimes a lot of people think it's just a fight, but it's actually a way to celebrate, and also like the video was just saying that we want to make sure that the aspect of calling and response, they want to make sure that that is something that is implied, that for every movement there is a response, but there's never a physical contact between one another one. So I think that's something that also as you're practicing, you need someone who you're going to feel comfortable responding to them, but also giving different modifications for them to participate in a way that they feel comfortable doing it.
I'm very likely to use this picture without the caption like you did to introduce it. I see it's called called The Dance of War, which certainly fits some of the fight. You know how they look like they're going to fight, but they're not, because it's a call and response. But it's very interesting. And when we get to Latin America, I teach world geography. This could be a really interesting tease, like a hook.
Right. Yeah, I think that the images talk a lot, and especially like with this one, but also with the other about the cholitas I think that it's important just to hook the students into the lesson. And I think that's the reason why I feel like, you know, all those lessons where you see the pictures about a cholita standing on ice, you know, and so, you know, this person is dressed the way that is, and, you know, it's so, I think it really is, it tells you a lot about, you know, the strength, the character, and, you know, I think it's very interesting, and especially for students, and it drives student discussion, and that's what we actually want, you know.
Okay, are there any other questions? Someone is asking in the chat, can you post the link again, Mariana?
Yes.
And just repost it. Yeah, I think Janice just joined. I don't know if maybe they have any question before we're kind of already like wrapping up the presentation. So can you post it, or should I try? There it is.
I got it. Okay. I posted it.
I think they got it. Okay, so do you have anything else that you want to mention, Mariana, before we, or if anyone has any other question? Go ahead, yes. Go ahead, yeah. We can hear you.
Okay. No, I was just, you know, I think that I'm hoping that, you know, these lessons are something that you can actually use in your classes. And I encourage you to use, if you teach phys ed or if you teach any other core subject, I think it's important to have it in our classes. And a lot of students, you know, can benefit from learning about Latin American sports. There is a history, there's a culture, and the character education, that a component that is also so important about to share with one another. So I'm hoping that everybody can at some point use it. And I really thank you for being here today. Most of these games are something that are close to myself, just because some of them I actually practiced when I was younger. And I really wanted to advocate for things, activities like this to be in our schools. So I'm hoping that you can all enjoy it and participate with your students. And if you ever have any questions, I'd like to give you my, I think that is my email address on the link.
You can add it in the chat. You can add your email address in the chat.
So my TC email is mc4626@tc.columbia.edu. And my DOE email.
Mariana, you're sending it to me as a direct message. Can you send it to everybody?
For some reason, I cannot change it. I don't know.
Okay.
Can you post it for the group? Because for some reason it's not letting me.
Okay, yes. Hold on.
This is
There were a couple of questions here in the chat. I don't know if you can see them, Mariana. No, I think they just sent them to me. Viviana is saying, thank you for the resources, that she's excited to use them in her Spanish classes, and maybe ask her physical education colleagues if they're interested in doing a joint lesson. And then Yanis, who just joined, is asking if you would give some advice on how we can mitigate stereotype formation when we use these subjects.
Well, I think that the lesson plans are related to different regions in Latin America, and I think that that's the sense of connection that we wanted just to pass, is that no matter where the all plans that are and sports and activities practiced in Latin America and Caribbean so we want to make sure that we transfer that there's a sense of connection in between the different cultures, and we want to make sure that that is actually presented in our classes. So that is the main component and the main reason why we think, we want to make sure that we put it out there that is important, but also, the history and the culture mainly, and the importance of culture in sports, and not only because it's a practice of physical activity and the physicality, but also because there is a sense of connection between the actual sport and where the identity of each individual. And so I think it's important just to put that out there in our class for many students, just to see that there is a connection between sports, but also identity and the culture. So I'm hoping that kind of give you some ideas about how can you best, but I think connecting videos, images that drives class discussion. You can use some guiding questions that can help students, connect to one another and discuss, just like we did today. I think it will be beneficial.
Okay, are there any other questions before we finish the presentation?
So I want to thank everyone for coming in here today. And again, I'm hoping that we can reconnect at some point. Also wanted to thank you, Jose, for being here with the presentation as well, and everybody from ILAS. If you wanted just to have any questions or anything that you want to say, I'm here. I'm staying here for a little bit more.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Chris. Thank you.
Thank you. Have
Yeah.
a good day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So yeah, I also just wanted to, on behalf of the K-12 Outreach Program, thank you all for joining. And if you would like to receive any notifications about our future events and activities, here's our email. You can send us an email and we can add you to our newsletter. We have a monthly newsletter with all the activities and the events that we are organizing as part of the program. So also feel free to send us feedback and share how you are implementing the guide with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.